Folks, welcome to Chewing the Gristle, the podcast with yours truly, Gregory S. Koch, Esquire, also known as Gregory Kochery in some circles. It's brought to you by our friends at Fishman transducers, if you will, and it features just random conversations with various guitar and music friends, just kind of shooting the breeze or chewing the gristle, if you will. Due to my road work, we're going to stay away from seasons, but we're going to drop these as they become available. We appreciate you tuning in these years. We're going to keep on doing this as long as we can, folks. If you're enjoying them, we're enjoying them. Can you dig it? Let's chew the gristle. This week on Chewing the Gristle, more fun to be had. Another Telecaster manipulator extraordinaire. You've seen his videos online. The amazing Chapman Welch, who's also a professor at Rice University, but he's a flat-picking, Telecaster-wielding instructor and player extraordinaire. And a hell of a nice fellow. This week on Chewing the Gristle, we have Chapman Welch.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the time has come once again for us to gather around the gristle fire for Chewing the Gristle. This week we have Chapman Welch coming in from beautiful Houston, Texas, as I understand it. And Chapman is a guitar-wielding potentate of the highest order. I've been checking out his content online, and he's just a treasure trove of Tele tricks, and actually not just tricks. That sounds, I don't want to make that sound derogatory. Tele knowledge, as well as bluegrass ferocity, just an excellent player and educator, just great content. And I thought it'd be fun to get together and shoot the breeze, or chew the gristle, if you will. So Chapman, welcome.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for having me, man. It's great to be here.
Well, pleasure. So tell me a little bit. So you're teaching at Rice University down there. So what do you all do down there?
Well, Rice is a classical conservatory. It's like up with like Curtis and Juilliard kind of vibe, you know. And I teach interactive electronic music and really weird stuff. Okay? like how to turn. Like basically, I'm teaching an undergrad course now, and they make pieces. They write. How's the sound? Is it okay? Am I too loud? Or
no, you're all good. All good.
Okay, groovy, man. Sorry. Basically, they write these pieces using software that they create that then controls like input, and we have like a 20 speaker sound system, 20.2, and just crazy stuff. And yeah, so it's like absolutely a strange path about how I got here, but yeah, definitely. So I teach this really crazy kind of art music to children. Yeah, it's fun, man. It's fun. And like what I would describe Max MSP, I don't know if you've ever heard of that stuff. You can, it's a program, they use in Ableton now. Ableton actually bought it, but what you can do is like make your own software, make your own plugins, make your own stuff. But like for what I do you can do like really cool things that effects pedals can't do. So like, I can make it where every time you played a G it has delay on it, or every time you play a G, there's a 20% chance there's effects on it. And then it gets more likely to, so you can just be playing and things will happen. It's basically like little aux synths, but I've had students make like meat smokers with this program too, where it's like, if you can do any damn thing you want to, man, it's crazy. Yeah. So that's what we're doing here. But man, it's a circuitous path that got me to this place.
Please enlighten us. What's been happening? How'd you get there?
Man, I grew up in a little town in Mississippi called Corinth, Mississippi, real close to Memphis, real close to Tupelo, real close to Muscle Shoals. And my brother, about 17 years older than me, tried to make it in country music and had, some top 100 kind of Billboard kind of stuff, did some things, and he worked with a fella, Johnny Sandlin.
Johnny Sandlin. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Johnny, I have to say, it's like I have a classical side to my playing and just rock and roll kind of side. And Johnny is like the main person for that rock and roll side. That he was my mentor. I learned tons from him, and sad he's gone, but I learned so much from him, man. Anyway, my brother made a record with Johnny, and they redid Ramblin' Man, and had like, yeah, dude, and it had like uh, sorry, what's the dude's name? Why am I zoning on like one of the gods of dobro player extraordinaire, the greatest one of all time?
Jerry Douglas.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, dude. It's like, yeah, Jerry Douglas and like Sam Bush were all on that record, and it's Jerry Douglas's break is amazing. Anyway, so I grew up with that kind of thing, and doing classical piano and as well. And I had a little rock band, 15 years old. There was a little recording studio in my town in this dude's basement. We went and recorded a demo, and yeah, my wife, she's my wife now. Imagine that a guitar player married the singer, but yeah, we did. So, but that never happens. But but anyway, at the time we were just kids, 15 and 14. I've been playing in bars since I was a child because of that. My brother took it to Johnny, our little EP, and Johnny's like, "It's pretty good, man. And so we started recording with Johnny, when I was like 16 years old, 17. At Duct Tape Music, man. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And so, Johnny was like the dude who introduced me to the blues. Like, I really didn't know Elmore James or any of that stuff till I was hanging out with him. And he was like, I was listening to like the Sugar Cubes and 10,000 Maniacs and REM. And he was like, that ain't gonna cut it. You gotta do this. You know what I mean? He was not happy with my choices. So he
was a man of opinions. They were glorious opinions, but
yeah, definitely, dude. And so we, I made several records with him, and or made 2 records with him, and just learned so much. And it's funny, Greg. When you start there, you think that's how life is going to stay. You're like, oh, well, this is how it is. Because it's like, I would go in there and there'd be like, there's this guy he always had named Bunky Anderson. I don't know if you remember Bunky, but Bunky was like I think he had been like a manager for Leonard Skinner or something, and,
was it Bunky Odom?
No, it was Anderson.
He knew a guy named Bunky Odom as well that he turned me on to, but Bunky.
Oh man, was it Odom? Man, it's been a million years ago.
It rhymed with funky scrotum. That's why
But yeah, dude. So like, we recorded. It was funny, man. Johnny, the first demo, he brought us in. We had like 6 songs, and 3 of them he didn't like. 3 of them he liked. So the 3 of them he didn't like, he let our drummer and bass player play on. And then for the 3 he liked, he fired our bass player and drummer and got like this guy named Brian. And these kids, little kid egos, it was a bad scene. But he hired this drummer named Brian Owings. I don't know if you know him, but he played with Delbert McClinton and now plays with like Emmylou Harris, I think. But amazing drummer. Brought him in, he played great. And then he had David Hood come and play the bass on it. And so it's funny, having this bass player, like, I didn't know the gravity of what that meant, when I was like 16, 17. I was like, man, that's really cool. Now, but I heard it. Oh, this legendary bassist is coming in to play on your record. I'm like, okay, it's great. I wasn't there for the session. Johnny was just doing it. I come back and I'm like, what's this guy going to play? It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to hear what he's playing. And he played exactly what our bass player played. He just played it in time. He didn't play one note. He didn't play one note different. I hand to God. And I learned a lesson that day. I was like, people don't call you into, it's not to like rethink it. It's to fix it, what I mean? Make it sound better. So that was a good lesson, just being like, wow. But with all those guys, it had Jimmy Herring was, he was doing those records, the Aquarium Rescue Unit records. And
well, how I met Johnny was through T. Lavitz from the Dixie Dregs.
Oh, really?
And,
who was playing with Widespread.
Correct, at that time. And T played on my first record back in 1992. It came out in 93. And he goes, you should send it to Johnny. And Johnny was very, he was very complimentary and actually tried to hook me up with Bunky Odom, because at that time he was putting a band together for Derek Trucks, and they were looking for another guitar player. And so that never ended up happening, but I remember as a result. But then we always wanted to record down there, and then we eventually did.
Oh, really? You did go down to Duct Tape?
Yeah, a record of mine called 4 Days in the South was done at Duct Tape. And one of my favorite, and do you know Jeremy Stevens, his second, the engineer guy that he would use?
Yeah. Young guy.
Yeah. And we recorded some stuff, and Johnny liked, of course, the bluesier stuff, but I had this one tune that was particularly maniacal and had some kind of volume swell sync thing, and it was a pretty heavy riff. And so he's like, Jeremy, you do this one. So he's hanging out in the house, and Jeremy's doing the session with us, and we decide to break for lunch. So we go to Gibson's Barbecue, as I recall.
Yeah.
And we came back, and there was a note from Johnny. Johnny said, Greg, was listening to that last song. Satan called. He said, good job.
Oh, man. Johnny,
okay, I'll take that.
Johnny, man. Dude, so many things he said, that just, he taught me how to record records, and so it's like I learned how they made those records, how they made old school stuff, and I don't remember if you remember he had that really old, like, burst Strat in there, and there was
yes,
like
I used that on a tune. Yep.
Yeah, dude, that thing was amazing, But anyway, so like, yeah, man. Johnny,
really good Vibrolux in there as well, as I recall.
Yeah, he, So yeah, I just remember thinking that's how it was going to be. I'd be with these guys. It's like that's how my life is going to be. But we did another record with Johnny, and actually, Jimmy Hall played some harmonica on it. And yeah, anyway, so it's just like you think, oh, man, this is how life's going to be forever. But then, it's not how it was, man. So so we toured, man. But, almost made it, didn't quite make it.
So you're a youngster, you're playing around, you're hanging out with the likes of Johnny Sandlin and the gang. Your older brother's got this thing happening. At one point, do you say, I got to go to school and maybe
I was about 28. I'd been on the road, and I dropped out of school, and I was in this little town called Starkville, Mississippi. It's where Mississippi State is. And we had all the things. We had, mental health issues in the band. We had people die. We had all sorts of horrible stuff. Just the story of a lot of bands. And it just, almost, not quite, didn't quite make it,
What kind of a band was it, if you don't mind me asking?
It's a band called Law of Nature. And if you look at it online, it's still there. Even though the record, some of the stuff we did with Johnny, we did like 3 tunes. Our most popular tune, Noise in the Hallway, is me at like 17 playing that Strat. Yeah, dude, and playing organ. And man, I was playing organ on this thing, and I'm a piano player too. So we were playing the organ. He's like, "Oh, what are you going to play?" And I started playing it, because I had this interesting idea in mind. He was like, "Oh, okay." And then he hit go. I started playing. He stopped the tape. He's like, "I thought you were kidding." He's like, "Don't play that. Just play the chords." I said, "Okay, dude." I'd written this really weird counter melody to like the thing. He was like, "No, don't do that. That's wrong." Yeah, dude. So, yeah, but I don't know, man. We were on the road a bunch. We were playing like 200 dates a year at that point. Just like some ridiculous.
All over the place.
Usually just the Southeast. We'd come out to Texas or Oklahoma or, do things like that. But it was mainly just Southeast, relentless. And we were with this guy, these people called like Split Nickel. And they did like, Sister Hazel, if you remember that band from the 90s. And anyway, and this other band called Jupiter Coyote that you probably have never heard of. But
that one.
They were a Macon, Georgia band, but they did well. But anyway, Just teaching somebody the same songs I had taught 6 other bass players since the time I was 15. It's like at a certain point, I'm just looking around going, man, it's isn't for me. And I just wanted to figure out another avenue. So my piano teacher actually was at Mississippi State. I got really serious in piano when I was like 12, and I started taking lessons from a professor, and this guy named Joel Harrison, he really got me to understand what it takes to get good at something, to really buckle down. And like classical music gives you that, it doesn't teach you how to improvise ever, but it teaches you how to refine technique, and how to think about it and get it going. So man, I had to go back, but Joel told me about a guy named Mark Applebaum who teaches at Stanford now, but he's a crazy dude. If you look him up on the internet, he has a crazy like TED talk that he did. And Mark was teaching there. And Mark was like, man, you should be a composer. Cause I'd written a lot of music. And he was like, okay, why not? And so that's what I started working towards. He taught me jazz piano too, but, so I started learning that. And, yeah, man, then I went to North Texas for composition. I got in there and, I was buddies with all the guitar players because I started meeting them, and
What year is this around?
2001. So like I graduated high school in like 92, dropped out of college in like 94, and then went back to school in like 2001, So that's basically, we were still touring when we were in Starkville. I went back to school earlier, but it's neither here nor there. A lot of guitar players there, though. I mean, and just one of the guys who was working, I worked at this place called SEMI, the Center for Experimental Music and Intermedia. Yeah, dude. And so I went there, and one of the guys there was the 1 o'clock guitar player there. So he was like, king shit of fuck mountain there for like everybody. And I started learning some jazz from him, and we just hit it off, and still a good friend of mine. And all these other great players were there, like Snarky Puppy, with all those people were there. Yeah, Mark. Yeah. Mark was he wasn't there. I knew like Mike League was there, the bass player, and a guy Brad Williams was there. He plays with like Brittany Howard and does a bunch of stuff, and just a bunch of great players. So I started meeting them, and didn't really get into, like, I never even met Noel Johnston until after I was long graduated, and yeah, man. So I didn't really do the jazz thing. I just did music composition and learned a bunch of really avant-garde stuff, and then, but I never quit playing, and I actually used guitar playing for my, I made it kind of like a focal point of my composition. My master's thesis was about Danny Gatton. And it's this crazy piece that anybody heard it, they'd be like, this can't have anything to do with Danny Gatton. But it has like everything. It's all these chicken picking techniques and like stuff that he did, but it's like, crazy shit, man. Yeah. Yeah, dude. But yeah, dude. So then, I don't know. I started doing bluegrass a lot. I grew up, my brother played bluegrass, so I knew that stuff, but I decided about 12 years ago. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling, Greg. I mean,
this is
okay.
what you're here for.
I understand, but you know what I mean? It's like I teach all day, and it's like my job is to talk, but after a while I'm like, am I still talking? Jesus Christ, how'd that happen? Yeah. So about 10, 12 years ago, I heard Jake Workman. I don't know if you know Jake Workman, bluegrass player.
That sounds familiar.
The baddest fucking right hand on the planet. I put him against anybody, man. Just insanity, dude. You gotta just check him out. If you put in Jake Workman rawhide 200 BPM, and it's like he's playing 400, basically, and just crushes. He's like the best right hand in bluegrass, without any doubt. I can say that. And so I heard him play with Ricky Skaggs one night, and I was like, holy shit, what is that? I want to learn. I want to get my right hand better. thought I had a good right hand until I heard him. And then I was like, what? So about 10 years ago, I decided, man, I'm going to get my bluegrass down. And I reached out to Jake, and I took a bunch of lessons, and we became friends, and he got me ready. I started going to like the National Flat Picking Championship to try to see what I did. And I made the finals a couple of times. And I mean, winning those things, it's like, I felt like I won it every time I played, but it's always judges, and I play weird, man. I don't play like the regular bluegrass guys, But anyway, so I started doing that, really working on the bluegrass, and got in that world, and then started meeting people, and then started playing gigs. I decided, hey, I'm going to go back gig again. In like 2019, December 2019 is a good time to start.
Because before the apocalypse.
Yeah, right, dude. So, but since then, I've just been gigging and doing the social media thing, and that was really more of like an exercise in not being worried about what you're putting out there, and not being worried, because I feel like everybody's so judgmental online. And as soon as you put something out there, it's really, a personal thing that you're doing. And I'd get like, in a studio, I don't have red light syndrome, but you put that mic and that camera and that video in front, and I'm like, oh shit, what am I doing? Oh man, what are they going to think? I'm just thinking about what everybody else is thinking, And I decided, I'm going to try to beat that and try to get past that. And so I did, and and then the other thing, Greg, this is my main thing, my whole life I wanted everybody to think, oh, he's a great guitar player. I want people to think I'm a good guitar player, and if I put it out there as me trying to show you how good I was, that's one thing. But if I put it out as, hey, here's something for you guys to use, everybody was like, oh man, that's really helpful. And by the way, you can really play that thing, which is, so you get the thing you want by giving away, so it's kind of a Buddhist way of trying to think about the world,
Well, I've said it many times, as far as, I have the same attitude. It's like, anytime I'm thinking, I should really do this and this and this because it'll advance. It's like, anytime I do anything that is more helpful to other people, shit goes well.
Right.
If it's ever just about me, it's just not so much.
Yeah, dude. I mean, in that crazy, it's very true, but we live in this whole, social media by definition is about me, because right. It's like, it's me on the thing. But, if you just try to, but still people are mean. I don't know if you get that too. People are still mean, even though, yeah, dude, I always like it. The meaner it is, I like it more,
Well, like, I don't mind if it's mean as long as it's funny. You know what I mean? If it's not funny, then fuck off. I have no time for it.
Yeah, I do.
But, every now and again, you'll get one where we're like, okay, all right, I see you. That's good. But a lot of, what's interesting is I don't respond to anything. I barely respond to anything anymore, just because, I just don't have time. And if and then I see other people who are so diligent, and they comment, they talk to every individual. It's like, if someone asks a question that's specific, hey, Greg, this, and I'll be like, well, okay, if it hasn't already been answered up above, which happens a lot, you know what I mean? I'm sure you've had it where you've said everything about the post necessary, and then it's like,
what kind of pickups are those? Joe Barnes, by God. It's right. Like forever I've been telling you, but fuck it, I'll tell it again,
Exactly. So that kind of stuff. But for the most part, if it's really mean, and unless it's something where I'll just be like, just for the fun of it, I'm gonna engage. But then I always regret that as well. So I don't even respond anymore. And those people just go away. They do. Just are gone. Because all I'm looking for is, it's just hate bait.
Yeah, dude, they do want you to bite. I had one guy tell me, you're fat, old, and miserable. And I was like, I am not miserable. You know what I mean? Because it's like, brother, you're going to hope you get old one day, man. I mean,
it's like, you wish, mutant.
Yes, indeed, man.
Well, the thing I think is interesting too, I don't know if you've felt this, but I think people are meaner on Facebook than they are on Instagram. Instagram seems to be
absolutely
nicer. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You'll get occasional an outliner, but man, Facebook, and I'm not entirely convinced that a lion's share of the people who talk shit aren't bots.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like they want engagement.
Yeah, absolutely. And absolutely. That yeah. Facebook is worse, you know. For like anger posts and like, and normally, man, I will check and see if they say something mean. I check to make sure they don't live down the street from me or something, you know. Like, I just see, are they in my town? And then I always see if they can play. On Facebook, I've been doing this just to abuse myself. I'll see what they do, and I will respond to their mean comment with something about what they do. Like, this guy was a distributor for Heinz, and I kept writing, it's like, that thing may only get you so far. And I put like, may, you know, it's like the kind of, and just to see if he notices. Right. I can think of 57 reasons that's untrue, you know. It's like, it's the little things that are amusing to me, man. I don't know.
What you got to do, you got to stay sane.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you know, first of all, I would just tell you, man, it's like, I really appreciate you having me. And, you know, I'm going to come to your show on January. And I think you're coming to Houston again.
Yeah, we're playing at a place called The Bad Astronaut.
Yeah. There's a guitar player in town, Kelly Doyle. I don't know if you know
Yeah,
Kelly.
I do know who that is. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, Kelly is a good buddy of mine. And so we're going to definitely come hear you.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah. Come on down. Bring your earplugs.
Oh, yeah. You guys get it loud?
We're a little boisterous. Yeah, that's
okay.
Although, have you been to this place? I've never been to this place yet.
I've never been. Kelly and I were talking. Neither one of us have ever been. He said it's like an indie kind of hip place, you know.
Because last time we were there, we played at the Continental Club, and it was great. We had a good crowd. It must not have been available. We got this our new agent. He's an agent that I've had for a while, but he went off to WME, which is a big, you know, with Morris Endeavor, which is all the big boys. And then he came back around and he's like, hey, I've gotten a promotion here and we're going to bring you on board. So we got this, you know, big time agency, except for the fact that, you know, when I suppose his other days are preoccupied with booking, you know, $500,000 acts as opposed to, you know, booking up. But he's been doing a great job. But a lot of times these gigs come in kind of short notice. So this one was only booked like maybe a month ago or 2 months ago, maybe 6 weeks. And so I would imagine that mitigates which places are available. But yeah, we played the Continental Club there last time. That was cool.
Yeah, I was out of town or I would have come, you know, because, you know, would have liked to checked it out, man.
Yeah. Isn't the Mighty Orc from down there as well?
Oh, you know him too? Yeah.
I've never met him, but he used to be booked by the same guy that books us in Europe. And I've heard his stuff. I thought he was great.
Yeah, dude, he's down here. And I play gigs with like his drummer. Of course, now I'm forgetting even people I know his name.
Believe me, I'm the same way.
Just like I couldn't think of Bob Lanzetti earlier from.
Yeah, there you go, Bob. Yeah.
Yeah, so I knew him a little bit, you know. Anyway, so now 10 minutes from now, I'll remember this. Chris Ardwan. He's Orc's drummer, and I play with him some. But yeah, so it's like, dude, I gig around town. I played this gig with, I don't know if you ever saw Hedwig and the Angry Inch, that crazy show. It was a Broadway show, but it's a crazy kind of. Yeah, it's a crazy movie. Anyway, I played with that dude the other night. So I kind of just take what kind of comes through as I'm still teaching. But as I get older, it's sort of like that. I don't know that you know the story about like the Mexican fisherman who is hunting. He gets the greatest tuna, and the businessman comes down there and he's like, "Man, we could make a ton of money with this." It's like, "What's your day like?" It's like, "Well, you know, I catch the fish. I go play with my friends, and then, you know, I make love to my wife, and then I start it all over again." And he's like, "Okay, well, we'll do this. And in 30 years from now, you can come back down here, you know, sit on the beach all day, catch tuna, make love to your wife." You know, it's like, I feel like after this whole thing, now I'm just, I was talking to my buddy, Kevin Patton, who's guitar player I was saying, the 1 o'clock guy at North Texas. And it's like, after all this, he went into academia, and now we're back to playing gigs again. We're like, we're just old guitar players, man. It's like we tried to gussy it up, but it's like we're just, I love the guitar, man. There's nothing better than it,
It's still my favorite thing to do with my clothes on, as I like to say.
Dude, man, you do the shit out of it, man. Your phrasing. I was listening to some of I've heard your records before, but I was listening to one of your records yesterday, and I was like, this is just the most bonkers phrasing, like in a good way. I don't mean that, I'm like, it's like, do what now? Like, what the hell did he just say? It's like,
well, thank you.
I mean that in a positive way.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you. It was an interesting thing for me because I never toured with the band all that much in the States. Most of the stuff I had done all over the place was doing, because I had young kids. I had 4 kids. I still have 4 kids, but my youngest one is 22 and out of the house now. But for years, I did the Fender thing. I did the Hal Leonard thing. I wasn't working for any of these, but I was like a clinician for these people. And so I would do like gigs, clinics, whatnot. I'd travel around, and I'd always put out records. But I never really had an agent in the States. That was the hardest thing. It's like I'd get record deals, and you're thinking, "Oh, I got a record deal now. Now I'll get an agent." And they're like, "They don't give a shit." It was very, very difficult. And then in Europe, it kind of worked out. I got a record company over there and would go over there and tour. But in the States, it was a big conundrum until finally it was during COVID. Actually, I think it was just prior to COVID. I was doing a live stream, and people were chiming in like, "Hey, how come you don't come to Poughkeepsie? How come you don't come to, Atlanta? How come you're not coming to Sacramento?" I was like, "Listen, I don't have an agent." And so a guy was watching who was an agent, who's still my agent, the guy at WME, and he started the whole thing. So then we started playing. And so long story short, it seems like they're going on for an eternity here, but I've been able to have an agency in the States to do what I've always just wanted to do, which is have my own band, play my own music, and travel around and do my thing.
And your son's in the band, right? And
so he plays drums. He's like the marketing savant now. He's really good at putting together all the ad campaigns, and he's in charge of the mailing list, all that kind of stuff. But it's a strange thing to have him as a drummer, because when I was younger, I was like, man, if I could just find a drummer that understood the funk and the jazz stuff, but could shuffle like a demon and understood why Keith Moon and John Bonham and Ginger Baker were so badass. Yeah. And he's that.
Yeah, dude.
All on his own. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's just a blast. So speaking to your comment of you just want to play gigs and make enough money to get paid. I don't need $1 million. I just need enough. So as long as you get enough people coming out to support what you're doing, I'm good. If it elevates to anything more than that, hey, fantastic. But if it doesn't, and I can still maintain what I'm doing until I can't do it anymore, let the good times roll.
I hear you, man. I hear you, dude. And, it's like, for me, I'm like, man, I'm in the last, third of my life, It's like that you start realizing when I hit 50, I was like, okay, what do I want to do?
And how old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
52.
You're young, and I just turned 59.
Oh, man. Well, that's pretty damn close to 52 there, Grace. So it's like, I don't know, there might be a tour in my life left. I don't know. It's just like, I don't have any kids. And so my wife and I, we're just like, we can do anything, but then I sit and do the same thing. I teach every year, I love teaching. These kids are amazing. They really keep you on your toes. They're little geniuses, Rice is also a really good academic school. So the kids are really smart.
Oh, good.
And the musicians
I was going to ask you that.
The musicians are ridiculous. I mean, they are like some of the best on the planet in classical music. They couldn't play a blues if it was the end of the world. If they could stop the destruction of the planet, we'd all be dead. You know what I mean? It's like so if that happens around here, they better call me or another guy I work with that can play. But yeah, dude, it's like, so they're not improvisers, but there's something else that is really interesting. It's like that classical thing is like just striving for the same thing. They're all trying to get to the same spot with the same thing. It has this lineage. And so there's some amazing stuff to that too. But I heard somebody say this, there's no amateur classical musicians. I've never heard, and it's true. It's like, you don't see like kind of a throw together, string quartet down at the concert hall. It's like, I got my buddies together, we're playing some Haydn. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that. And so there's that mentality. These kids are like, they're little ninjas, and they're trying to be paid and like, go down that path. And it's a hard path for them. It's like really complicated. But anyway.
Plus, and then, the thing with higher education is that people are always of the mindset of, well, what are you going to do with that? How much money are you going to make? And it's not always about that. Sometimes you just want to be great at something because you want to be great at it, and then you'll figure out the monetization part afterward. But by the same token, you have to be somewhat cognizant of the fact that food is good, rent is good.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely, man. And, I had, like my dad, he was an old school dude. They're kind of the ones in a way who pressured me out of rock and roll in a way. They were very supportive, super supportive. I can't say that really, that they pressured me out of it, but I felt this pressure of like, so what are you going to do? 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 And it's just still playing, still touring. I was doing it, and it was just, I felt that pressure. So I was like, man, I'm going to go learn this stuff. And I appreciate that. I really pushed music, what I could learn about the esoteric side of music, about as far as I could do it. It doesn't help you play blues. It doesn't help you play guitar. It doesn't help. But like if I had to make like a crazy scale if I had to write for an orchestra, I know how to do that, and so I appreciate that. But yeah, man, dude, it was just one of those things I felt kind of pressured out of it, and these kids are under so much pressure. I don't know, man. I kind of lost the impetus of this thought towards but it pushes, like, these kids are like, there's like 3 jobs open a year, and they're all fighting for it.
Right. That's what I was going to ask you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. And, that job pays really good, though. It does. It like, if they get the gig, like starting pay in orchestra is pretty good. You're making 6 figures a lot of times, but you're one of the few who gets it. And there's tons of guys. There's this dude, he got a master's degree at Juilliard. He got a master's degree here, and now he's a cop in Aspen. You know what I mean? But he had been to Aspen because he's a classical musician. And he's like, well, you've got to be a cop somewhere. Let's do it. It's like, it's not, chances are you're not going to be like cracking heads much there, or it's going to be pretty easy. But I remember telling my dad when I finally got, he's like, how much money do you make when you get a doctorate in composition, music composition? And I was like, well, if I'm lucky, I'll get this gig and I'll make whatever it was at the time, $60,000 a year or whatever. And he was like, what the hell are you doing this for? He was like, this is the dumbest idea I've ever heard, because he was a doctor. He was like, you should make money, it's that different mindset. And I think that we all happiness is more important. There's not enough money to make you happy. You know what I mean? There is not enough money in whatever you're doing that'll make you happy. So, I love what I do, man. I love playing the guitar. I still do it. I still get out there and do gigs. I want to keep doing that and making content. And also, at some point, I got, like I said, I got another tour in me at some point. But yeah, it's tough, man. I know all these.
About that whole audition thing, because I find like if you're a classical musician going for one of these, and they're rapidly diminishing these opportunities because the money for the arts is obviously, bollocks because of,
I do.
That people go in and they'll like say, prepare these things. And sometimes these musicians will come in and they'll pay like a few bars and they'll say, thank you. and then off you go.
Just students, my students, they're usually not in class due to the fact that they're on audition, and so I teach grad students too, and they're the ones who are, getting the gigs at this point, and usually doctorates in music, they don't get them because it's sort of master degrees terminal for a player, trying to get a gig. And so this is different than like a place like North Texas, which is more jazz. And so there's a lot of classical music, but it's not the classical level that this place is. There's thousands of students at U of H, at UNT, but here there's like 200, so it's very elite, these kids. But what he told me was he went on audition and they didn't hire anybody because they have this is the other thing. This would piss me off, dude. It's like they'll have these auditions and it'll be like assistant principal of the Cleveland Philharmonic or whatever, Cleveland Orchestra rather. And they if they don't have a candidate, they think nobody wins and they just keep the job going. And if you don't have experience, let's say it's like a higher up, like if it's like a administrative version of the string quartet, like in other words, you're a principal player. So that means you're kind of like chief on these people, the people sitting in the lower chair than you or whatever. And if you don't have experience, so there's a student who at the Houston Symphony who basically the first 4 seats are open because they can't hire anybody because you got to have experience to get it. She was the best. They hired her, but they hired her and put her down in the lower seats, so she got a gig out of it. But most of the time, this guy traveled to, I don't even know where he traveled. I didn't even ask. Oh, no, Cleveland. It was Cleveland. And not only did he not get the gig, nobody got the gig. So they all traveled there. And so that's how that shit works, man. It's crazy, dude. It's hardcore, man. And they have to play these excerpts. So it's like all these excerpts that are written out from the classical literature, from these things they've played their whole life, from like this Beethoven symphony or this, thing that they have to have it prepared. And like you said, they'll be like, next, it's blind auditions. They put it's behind a screen and they just go and play the thing and you hope you do okay. And I would hate it. And playing the same thing over and over again. It's to each his own. To me, that would drive me insane. I was a pianist. I thought I'd play piano, but sitting in a practice room for 8 hours a day was not for me, man. I was like, I'm going to write this stuff. It's like the difference between writing it and playing classical music is like the difference between being the dentist and the patient to me. It's like, I don't want to get on stage and have to like play that hard stuff. I want to like be able to flow and ebb and flow and do my thing,
I'm with you.
Yeah, man.
Well, if we could not regress, but maybe sidetrack into Tele talk.
Yeah, dude.
How did you get turned on to Danny Gatton? And
man,
how's your thoughts of the whole? I mean, again, it's never a competition, but I'm just interested in the two flavors that there's some overlap of Roy Buchanan and Danny Gatton.
Yes.
And there's definitely, and I love them both.
Yes.
But just curious as to how you discovered those individuals and how it affected you.
Yeah, man. Well, chicken picking stuff. I had that new Nashville Cats, that Mark O'Connor record,
depressing. That tune with Brent Mason playing that.
Yes.
Jesus.
Yeah. And I heard that and I was like, I want to know how. So Johnny, I was there. I was like, I need to learn how to play this country stuff. And I wish I could remember this cat's name. But Johnny said, hey, I know a guy. He just quit working sessions in Nashville and he's living in Muscle Shoals. And hey, you go take a lesson from him. I took my tape recorder over there and he taught me taught me all like the Buck Owens kind of, the Don Rich stuff. And And I walked in, I was like thinking I'm a badass. I had like, I'm recording with Johnny. I'm this badass guitar player.
Dude.
And he sits down and I'm like, and I just leave going, I'm the worst guitar player that has ever played one, And so, how it is, man. It's just getting that to where it's automatic, to where you can just do that stuff and just really shred on it. So that's how I got into it at first. But Mason was the one I wanted to be, because he's the one I heard on those things. And then I heard Danny Gatton, and I was like, oh my God, I don't even know how I came across Danny Gatton, maybe in a Guitar Player magazine. I don't know, something showed up, and I heard his playing, and I just was immediately like, I loved the fireworks, but I also loved how, like my wife says, she's a singer, and, she was like, he sings with the guitar, and he really does, it's not just chop affair. It is chop affair, but it's like he's telling a story too. He
He's
really
a very
gets
musical.
Yeah, dude, he gets it.
Leviathan.
Yeah, he gets it across the finish line every time. And yeah, dude. And so for him, I just I got those videos. I took hardly any guitar lessons in my life. It was mainly just learning from videos and just from playing with people. I mean, like. You meet Jimmy Herring. He blew up my Soldano one night. He wouldn't remember this, but he blew up my Soldano, and he had to drive around with me looking for a new fuse, and we couldn't get the vans out. And I went to a friend of mine who's a great guitar player. I was like, "Hey, you want to drive me and Jimmy Herring around to look for fuses?" He's like, yes, I do. And the whole time he was getting peppered with questions about how do you do that lick on the, Yeah, I'm sure he was like trying to jump out of that car, man. But anyway, but he blew up my Soldano, and it didn't work right ever again. But I finally got it fixed. It finally did it. But so for Roy Buchanan, I came to him late. I was really a Danny Gatton person. People talking about Roy Buchanan. I was like, okay, but Roy Buchanan, man, is it's a very different thing from Gatton to me. It's like almost the fireworks are there, but it's just such a different way of approaching the guitar, man, and like that double bend thing you're talking about, like bending up and down. I saw you talking about that. Yeah. That thing is like just a Roy Buchanan. Like when you hear him play, it's similar to like, I think sometimes about like when I heard your record yesterday, it's just these spit out these things, and it's just like, whoa, it was really a statement. And like, what is that thing? And it's like, it takes time to like dissect it and digest it. It's not his playing, I think, is more inscrutable than Danny Gatton. Like I can't figure out him as easily as Danny, not to say Danny Gatton. It's not about ease. It's just like, I get through with the Danny Gatton, like it starts here, it ended here, and this crazy stuff happened in between. But with Roy Buchanan, it's more like, it's kind of impossible to imitate. It's just like, what is this?
You never know. It's kind of like that Jeff Beck thing, where it's like they do some of the same things, but then they do none of the same things.
Yeah. And then that's the beauty of all these guys, is just how, Jeff Beck, I'd say, fortunately not enough stuff for Roy Buchanan to say this, but just how it changed all the time, and how they were always looking and always searching for that next thing, rather than kind of resting on their guitar laurels and kind of playing the same stuff. And for me, man, it's just, I get bored playing the same stuff over and over. I want to learn new stuff. I gotta learn new stuff. And man, speaking of it, at some point I'm going to put out a record, because I've put out rock and roll records since I've lived in Houston, but like a guitar record. The world needs yet another guitar record, right? So at some point I've been working on some stuff. I will eventually put something out again, but I've been really fascinated with like just going back and getting better myself, because I didn't get a degree in guitar. So it's like filling in gaps of knowledge that I felt like weren't were there in my brain, but not in my fingers, try to, yeah, man. But yeah, Gatton is tops for me as far as like just a guy to aspire to, as far as like just pick up the guitar and play some nonsense. There's nobody who can compete, man. It's like
a massive vocabulary of
right.
I think the stuff that's the most frightening to me is when he's playing with the pedal steel guy.
Oh yeah.
Come on, Brain.
Once again, why can't we think of it? Dude.
The redneck jazz stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That guy.
Yeah, dude. It's going to kill me. It's Buddy Emmons, of course.
Buddy Emmons, thank you. Because Buddy Emmons was a super freak. And then then he's pushing Danny and that stuff, man, it is insane. But I guess for me, I love Danny. I learned a lot of stuff from Danny. I did get a chance to meet him, and we played a gig together, and we kept in touch, and that was pretty awesome. And we were actually going to do a tour when he was going to come through the Midwest. We were going to do some shows with him, but then he canceled those gigs, and what happened, which is horrible. But I think I probably listened to more Roy just because of that spooky musical shaman thing. You know what I mean? As opposed to Danny was more literate. You know what I mean? I think he was a more literate jazz knowledge having guitar player. I mean, Roy knew definitely some and could navigate some changes.
Did you ever meet Roy Buchanan, or did you?
Never did meet Roy. So I remember a buddy of mine, and I still say this all the time. We're going to scald some brains. But Roy, a buddy of mine saw Roy Buchanan. He had a summer job in Nashville. We were going to school up in rural Wisconsin. And he came back because I saw Roy Buchanan at this little club. He came out and he just went up to the microphone and he said, "We're going to rock your brain." And ever since then, I've used that and permutated it to "we're going to scald your brains." But I thought that was cool. We're going to rock your brain. I love it. Bring it.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely, man.
But I will say Danny live, it was, at that particular, this is probably 91, 92 where this transpired. And it was a triple bill. It was my band, which was doing very well in the area at the time. And then Danny played, and then Mick Taylor. It was a triple bill. It's pretty cool. And Mick Taylor ended up using my super reverb. That's another story. But
he didn't blow it up, did he?
No, he did not. He enjoyed it. I go, "How'd you like the super?" He's like, "Oh, it was fantastic." And I said, "Where are you guys headed next? What amps are you going to use then?" He looked at me like I just asked him his underwear size, and he goes, "I don't know." It was like nuts with stuff though. It was awesome. Yeah. But Danny was cool as the day is long. But anyway, he did this show. And at that particular time, we had done a lot. We had opened up for a lot of the different guitar guys of the day. Steve Morris, and we did some great shows with Lonnie Mack. I got to know Lonnie and play with Lonnie. That was a blast. But a lot of the more metally guys too, shredder guys as well. But of all the kind of instrumental guitar stuff at that time, Danny had the best concept of entertainment. It's like as awesome as he was as obviously as a virtuoso, he understood how to entertain, and the arrangements and everything he did, it rocked. It was awesome. Yeah, I really, it was inspiring.
That's the thing,
on many
man.
levels.
That's the thing, man. It's like, I played a lot of gigs, and it's like you gotta do something, man. You can't just, it can't be like just I'm going to sit here and stare at my feet, and that's a lot of what guitar. That's kind of what I get paid to do now. It's like some guy's singing up there doing his thing, and I'm just going, padding it out and doing. But if you're playing in a band, like you're saying, like something where it's like your name's on the marquee, I mean, it's like you gotta bring it. Indeed, man. It's funny, you said Steve Morris. It made me think of another Johnny story. Like I said, he was so fundamental in my life, but he was talking to Steve. I called him up one day, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Well, me and Steve Morris are having lunch," and I was like, I was just blown away because I love Steve Morris. I was like, "Holy shit!" And I kept going on and on to finally he was like, you want his autograph? And I was like, yeah, I'll take his. So next time I saw Johnny, he was like, here's your, he just was fucking with me so hard. He's like, here's your autograph for you. He's just like, I don't know. Scotch. He always say a scotch too. Do you know that? It's like, you're a scotch off. It's a scotch flat. Anyway, dude. Yeah, man. Yeah, dude.
I'll tell you what, those Ann Sandlin meals were epic.
Yeah. Ann's great, man. Ann, and he had, I never knew his daughters really, because they were a little older than me. But Ann's great. I remember her when we first started coming there. After a while, she'd come and she'd look at me and she'd say, you look like you can carry the equipment now, you do, like before she was saying y'all were so scrawny children. It's like, just like you filled out. You look like you could carry that shit. It's like,
what's funny was that one day we went out for lunch at Bob Gibson's, and she was mad because she was making dinner and she thought she was going to make all this food and we weren't going to eat. So she was pissed. And I looked at her and I go, don't you worry about a thing.
Yeah.
Because, at 6'7", and, I could put it away, especially back then when I didn't have to worry about as much pushback, shall we say, from the forces of metabolism. I had no problem cleaning house for Ann. I devoured the food, which was all good. But
yeah, dude,
those meals were epic. But I remember one time we were recording down there, Dwayne's daughter, Galadriel, was there because she was working on her book, and she was staying at the house. And so she'd hang out for the session. So I'd be doing guitar overdubs, and there'd be Galadriel Allman, just curled up on the couch in the studio there reading the book. And I was like, and she looks like Dwayne, red hair.
I never met her, but
you could definitely tell she's Dwayne Allman's daughter. But huge Allman Brothers fan. So it's kind of like, this is wild. Hanging out with Johnny Sandlin at his studio, Dwayne Allman's daughter on the couch. You know what I mean? It's just like, woo! It was pretty wild.
Yeah, dude. It's like every time, I'm not much of a slide player, but I would play slide every now and then on just like some kind of backing thing. Every time I put on that slide, I'd be like, this is not good. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I know one thing is not going to happen. I'm not going to impress Johnny with my slide playing today. Yeah, that's definitely not happening. It's funny though, man. Like, you're talking about that, like, worried about it. It's like it might have been Bunky Odom, but I think his last name was Anderson. But he had all those old guitars, there, and he had I'd come in, they'd be old 335s. Old. I'd never played on a Fender Harvard.
Oh yeah,
before.
yeah.
And
that's the Steve Cropper amp, right?
Yeah, that thing was amazing, dude. And he had those. He had all that shit, Anyway. And I started overdubbing, doing my solos, and he was sitting there and he's like, I tell you one thing about yourself. And I was like, what? He's like, you've had every major utility in your house cut off. And I was like, how'd you know that? And he said, I've known a lot of good guitar players. I was like, that's both a compliment and I had to have an existential crisis there too, because it's like, dude, you know me so well, because I had everything cut off, Yeah, dude. Yeah, man. Dude.
What a character he was. Bless his heart.
Yeah, man. Those guys. That's a dying breed, man. That's like.
Well, no question about it. I mean, as we were discussing, we're aging. And so those guys,
yes.
All those guys now, I look at just the other day, Keith Richards and Jimmy Page are like 80, 82 and 83. And I'm like, first of all, how is that possible?
Yeah. Yeah, right.
But all those guys,
Bob Weir dying recently,
That was insane. Yeah. and I posted a little thing. I just couldn't be disingenuous. I was never a huge Grateful Dead fan.
Me neither.
I enjoyed aspect. I was just discussing this with a buddy of mine this morning who came over. It's like, but anyways, I wanted to post something nice, about the fact that, I respected them and I respected their fans. And I even respected more that he seemed like he was such a cool guy, but he seemed forever young. He was always working out and
right.
All that kind of stuff. But that was a shocker to me.
Yeah.
But I was describing, because yesterday I was driving home and there's a really cool public Actually, it's a college radio station in town here called 91.7 WMSE, and they play just whatever the people want to play. They play it. So on one particular day, or yesterday when I was driving, they started playing some Live Dead stuff, and I'm like, and I always try to give it the college try. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm going to listen to this, and as I'm listening to it, I'm like, what? And then all of a sudden there'll be like this. Jerry will do something. You're like, that is really cool.
Yeah.
Jerry will play some cool stuff. I always love the tone.
Yes.
And then they go into this other part, and then the vocals start, and you're just like, can you try just a little harder? I mean, and then it segues into something else. And there's this really cool little segue that really sounds cool. And I'm thinking, it's like little tidbits of brilliance in this soggy loaf.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, man. The Dead was never, my friends were into it, but I was never into it. But, I've played bluegrass, is tied into that. You got Olden in the Way and all those bands that had like Jerry Garcia in it. So I know the bluegrass side of it, and like the pizza tapes. I don't know if you ever heard those. That's a really cool thing, man. You might dig that. It's Grisman, David Grisman, Tony Rice, and Jerry Garcia. Okay. And the story is. Yeah, that's a badass record. And it's just them hanging out. And the story is that Grisman had the tape sitting on his stuff, and somebody delivered a pizza and stole it and made copies of it, and it was distributed. It was kind of underground, and then he eventually just released it all eventually.
Interesting.
That's the story.
The pizza tapes.
And so, yeah. It's pretty great, man. It's like, Jerry Garcia is not in his best voice, but just the two of those together, but like you said, I was never into it. Like, I play guitar with this dude in town named Corey Quinn, and he's a big Dead fan. So he'll say, let's play Mama Tried. And I'm like, okay, let's play Mama Tried, but let's do the Dead version of Mama. And I'm like, what is that? And it's like, it's got a 6 minor. It's got all sorts of stuff. Right. You're like, it's got stops and punches. It's like, what the fuck is this, man? I don't even know. The chords are everything. Yeah. So I'm always like, wait a second, are we doing it the real way or the Dead way?
Way. But that's the thing about it. I mean, like, you'll listen to something, and all of a sudden there'll be like these really cool chord changes. Like, well, what is this? This is cool. I like, but in that same arrangement will be some stuff where you're like, what? It's just such a head scratcher to me. But
yeah, man,
I appreciate it, and I love the fact that they lasted as long as they did, and people just love them, and it's a huge part of culture. I get all of that, but I guess I just wouldn't categorize myself as a fan. I just couldn't be disingenuous and go, I was a huge Dead fan, and R.I.P. Bob. I was just like, yeah, I appreciate you, but R.I.P.
Right.
Love,
yeah,
dude.
Love of God. Yeah, man. It's exactly. It's like the widespread stuff Johnny did of that, and widespread has that similar crowd, that the jam band thing. And I was definitely head first in the jam band stuff just because that was what was happening when I was out there on touring. But I don't know, man. As I get older, I like the jam, but I like less of the mono key kind of just noodling forever. It's just like
although there was some overlapping similarities, there's a big difference between the Allman Brothers band and the Grateful Dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like the Allman Brothers is like an orchestra, well placed, and everything is kind of like has its part, and there's improv, but there's really set things, and it's dude, it's definitely more for me too, whereas the Dead was sort of like, well, we've done this thing 100 times, it's going to be different tonight too, and maybe there'll be magic in it, or maybe it'll just be terrible, and there's some terrible Dead, but I think they would be okay with that. I think that's sort of the point of it, is that
that's all well and good. And if people love it, let the good times roll. I
feel it, man. I know what you're saying, dude. Yeah, man. I do know exactly where you're like, brother, I don't need this anymore, man. But I've had to learn a lot of that stuff from like students, or like in bluegrass bands. They'll like, I don't know. They all learn like this Slipknot, that's the hard. Yeah. They all learn So it's funny, like the bluegrass cats in Nashville, you say, you know any Grateful Dead? They'll just play Slipknot for you, and they'll be like they're proof. I know it all, but they don't know any of it. Anyway, but they know the hardest thing they ever did. Yeah, but.
Well, listen, my friend, thanks so much for spending an hour with us today. It was an absolute pleasure. And I look forward to hopefully seeing you in a couple of weeks here.
Absolutely, Greg. Thank you so much for having me, man. And I just really honored to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm honored that you came on, and we'll hopefully see you very soon.
Yes, sir. Take care, brother.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks once again to our friends at Fishman and to all you for checking out our show, which we call Chewing the Gristle. We're going to keep on keeping on. See you soon.